Ethical Soldier here, and I am back to talk about House of the Dragon, Season 1, Episode 6, and my thoughts on this episode. It's a great episode. I love the storyline, and I love the new characters, especially Alicent and Rhaenyra. The two new ones, they're great. Nothing wrong with them at all. And I think they kind of bring something new to the both of the characters. Alicent brings a bit more, strength and a bit more focus to her character, and Rhaenyra a bit more cunning and a bit more anger to hers. So I'm kind of glad they did change the actresses for it, because again, I just wanted to see a bit more from Alicent, and this new Alicent is pretty good, I've got to say. Is it as good as the one in the book? I think it's getting to the same level as the book, because again, I like Alicent from the book, and I wanted to see that Alicent come out for a very long time, and I think we're starting to see that now, because we're starting to see Alicent's power plays in this episode, and I loved every bit of that. And Rhaenyra, I kind of like the fact that Rhaenyra is taking risks, and the fact, again, I just like the fact both characters are acting more like the characters from the book. And that's just for me. But everything else about this episode, it was great. No time was wasted, no problems for me. I mean, there is one problem to do with a childbirth scene that it's not that much of a problem. It's just some things should have been explained about how somebody got somewhere. But I'll go over that in spoilers. But yeah, it's a great episode. And it's fun to watch fantastic TV like this. To watch a show that's not going to turn into a load of shit at the end. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but it's just better to watch a show you don't have to worry it's going to shove some political bullshit down your throat, or try to give you some fucking social commentary. And yeah, I think HBO's done a massively good thing by trying to take more control of this show and make sure they've kept an eye on the writers. And I think that's just great. So for me, this episode, it's a 7 out of 10. I think this has to be the best show on television right now. For me, there's nothing that really comes close. And it is really funny that this show is completely just destroying Rings of Power. So that's also a pretty good thing. But yeah, it's a 7 out of 10 for me. If you haven't watched this episode, I would go watch it. It's great. But let's go now into spoilers. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, leave in 3, 2, 1. So the episode starts off with Rhaenyra giving birth to a new child, and we in this scene we pretty much see the birth. We don't see the birth, but we hear the birth. And I was wearing headphones whilst I was watching this, so you can hear everything. So it's pretty disgusting, but it's childbirth. That's pretty much what you expect. So Rhaenyra gives birth to a new child, and is then summoned by Alicent to come to her chambers. And I kind of like this part of the scene because it kind of shows that Alicent has a lot of power now in King's Landing, enough power to call Rhaenyra to her chambers. And Rhaenyra knows she can't just say no, because that makes her look weak, and she doesn't want to look weak in front of Alicent. And I kind of like the fact we're starting to see these two are not friends anymore. They are actual enemies, because I really got sick of them. Are they friends? Are they enemies? No. These two are enemies. They do hate each other to the point where they want to kill each other. And we're finally starting to see that about these two characters that I've wanted to see for fucking ages. So, when one of the midwives comes in and tells Rhaenyra that Alicent wants to see her, Rhaenyra gets ready, but before she can leave, she has to, get rid of the afterbirth that's still inside her, so she pushes that out, then gets ready, and before she heads off to to see Alicent, Laenor comes in to make sure she's okay and to see his son. Let's just say that. I gotta say this about Laenor. I like Laenor because, listen, he's a gay guy trying to stick, by his wife, and you kind of got to respect him for that, because he didn't really have a choice in this. He had to get married. He lost his, love, in the last episode, and it's been 10 years, and he stayed as loyal as he could to Rhaenyra. But I feel sorry for him because he really doesn't know what to do with himself, and he does just feel like a pawn for Rhaenyra. I mean, he's trying to comfort her whilst he's taken her to see Alicent, because they start walking to Alicent, they start bumping into people along the way, or looking at Rhaenyra, who's literally just given birth to a child, and she's bleeding from certain places. And I think Alicent's trying to make Rhaenyra look weak in front of the kingdom, because, she doesn't... You got to remember, Alicent is trying to get her son to be king of Westeros, but she needs to take out Rhaenyra before she can do that. So I think this is another reason she's called Rhaenyra to her, to kind of show her up in front of the kingdom. But anyway, about Laenor. So Laenor's helping Rhaenyra up there. You can see he's trying to care, he's trying to help her. But Rhaenyra just doesn't care, because she's still pissed off that she has to go to Alicent. She really wishes she could stay in bed, but she can't do that because that makes herself look weak, and she doesn't want to look weak. So whilst they're walking, Laenor's trying to say you shouldn't go to see her, you should go back to bed, but she doesn't want to do that. And they just have a little bit of an argument on the stairs. They then get to Alicent's chambers. When they get there, Alicent tells Rhaenyra she should have stayed in bed, but Rhaenyra says, no, I'm fine, and I don't want to give you that satisfaction, basically. So the reason Alicent has called Rhaenyra to her chambers is because Alicent wants to take a look at the child. Because Alicent believes that all of Rhaenyra's children are not genuine children of Laenor. And she looks at the baby's head and sees that the baby's head is not white. It's got little brown bits. So it pretty much confirms to Alicent that Rhaenyra has given birth to another person's child. The king then comes in to see see his grandson, and Laenor hands the baby over to him, where, he's just a happy... Listen, King Viserys, he's just happy that he has a grandson. And what he's trying to do, and you got to feel sorry for the king, because he's just kept trying to keep his family together. He just wants his family to be united and not to fight, because he doesn't want to see... He wants to see everybody happy, basically. That's all he wants. And that's why he's pretty much looking over the fact the kid looks nothing like Laenor. But then Alicent gets a hold of the baby, again, takes a look at the kid's head again, hands the baby back to Laenor, but then says to Laenor, maybe one day you'll get a baby that looks like you. Basically putting a dig into him, and just pretty much signaling to Rhaenyra she knows what's going on, basically. The king then asks what's the baby's name, and then Laenor says the baby's name is Joffrey. And so, yes, this is not the same Joffrey, this is a different Joffrey, but when he names the kid, Rhaenyra gets very angry about this because, well, she thinks that she should have been the one to name the child, not him. And we all know why she thinks that, but let's get on with it. So they leave the Queen's chambers, and whilst they're walking away, you can see behind Rhaenyra that she's still bleeding from the birth. There's like a little trail of blood behind her, and Laenor gets in kind of a little bit of another argument with Rhaenyra about naming the child, and he thinks he should have a right to have a say in his family's future and life, and Rhaenyra says, yes, you should, but I'm the one with blood on me. Pretty much telling him, you didn't really do much, I did everything. So, you have to give her... You have to give that argument to her, because she is right. She did give birth to the child, and maybe she should have been more consoled on the name. But still. Anyway, the next scene, we meet Daddy, which is Harwin Strong. Now, he's commander of the City Watch, and he's looking after Princess Rhaenyra's children while she's been, giving birth. But, yes, it's pretty much definitely certain that he's the kid's father, because when you look at the kids and when you look at him, they're pretty much nearly identical. I mean, hair colour, bone structure, kind of all that stuff. He's pretty much the dad of the kids, and he wants to see his son, basically. So when they get there, Lenor's trying to, keep the child calm. He then hands the child to Harwin so he can take a look at the kid. Also, Rhaenyra's other children have brought a dragon's egg up for Joffrey so they can put it in the crib with him, because that's what Targaryens do with their children. They always put a baby egg in the crib so to keep the child safe, and so if that egg hatches, the dragon will be connected with the child. So in this scene, so in the next scene, Laenor takes the children back to the dragon pit, and Harwin and Rhaenyra pretty much have a little discussion about the child. And again, you can pretty much see this is a guy who's the dad and he cares about his children, but he knows he can never be a father to them, because if he does, say he's the father, then his kids are going to get fucking murdered. And he doesn't want that. Anyway, so next scene, we finally see inside the dragon pit, and we see that Prince Jaehaerys is getting training from the people who run the dragon pit. He's getting training on how to control his dragon, Vamox. Now, he's got to try to get used to commanding the dragon, and to make sure that he understands that as soon as he gets full control of the dragon will only ever respond to his commands. And then you see Prince Janie's order his dragon to kill a sheep or a goat or something, and he says Dracarys, it burns the sheep and then it starts to eat it. And this is where he learns the lesson of the commands of how to control Vamox. In this same scene, we finally meet Aegon and Aemond. Now, if you're a fan of the books, you know Aemond is a definite serious character. This guy is literally like Daemon, except 10 times worse. He's stronger, faster, and there is going to be hopefully a good change to the character that they will keep the Sapphire. Hopefully. If you've read the books, you know what I mean by keep the Sapphire. Anyway, so all the other kids have dragons except for Aemond, and this is where the other kids decide to play a prank on Aemond by telling him they've got him a dragon because he's the only one without a dragon, but it turns out it's a pig. And this massively upsets Aemond because, again, he's the only one without a dragon, and true Targaryens need a dragon to be seen as true Targaryens in his mind. So the other kids take the piss out of him, and then they run off laughing about it. And Aemond decides to go inside the dragon pit, deeper inside. And I think what he was trying to do is try to see if he can get one of the dragons to take control of. But then a dragon sprays fire at him, and he legs it back into the castle. And the next scene, we then meet Helaena, the only daughter Alicent and Viserys have. And with Helaena does have the sight, because you see in this scene while she's expecting this bug thing, she gives a prophecy about Aemond and having one eye. So she does have the sight, but she's a kind of strange character. She's not all there, let's just say. Anyway, so Aemond gets dragged in by one of the King's Guards, and the King's Guard tells Alicent that Aemond went into the dragon pit to mess around with the dragons, and Alicent's pretty pissed off about this because he could get killed by the dragons, and she doesn't want that for her son. But Aemond tells her why he did it, tells her about the prank, and this pretty much pisses her off because she thinks Rhaenyra's kids are the ones who did the prank. And again, you got to remember, Alicent doesn't see those kids as legitimate. She sees them as a threat, and she also sees Rhaenyra as a threat. So any prank they play is just a danger to her family. So it's not a good idea. Anyway, so Alicent goes to see the king, tells the king what happened. Now you can see that King Viserys, it's just kids being kids in his eyes, but Alicent has to keep reminding him that it's more than that, and he knows it. They all know that there's something wrong here, and she knows that the king refuses to see it about Rhaenyra's kids. But so Alicent finally confronts Viserys with the truth, tells him that we all know that Rhaenyra's children are all bastards, and he needs to accept that. And I think what she was asking for was for him to finally say Rhaenyra is not the next in line. But Viserys doesn't want to do that. He still loves his daughter, and he tells Alicent not to ever talk about this again. And she pretty much is just angry about all this and the whole situation, because again, I think the one thing she hates about Rhaenyra is the fact she didn't do her duty, and the fact she continuously spits in her face with this. Because Alicent did her duty, Alicent stayed loyal to Viserys, Alicent did her duties to her husband, and Rhaenyra doesn't. I think that's another reason that she hates Rhaenyra, because she doesn't give a shit about her role, and she doesn't take it seriously. She thinks she can do whatever she likes, and everybody's just got to do as she says. And she is right to a point. So, anyway, so let's go to the next scene. Alicent then has a conversation with Sir Christian, who is pretty much fully loyal to Alicent now. And Alicent asks Sir Christian, why does nobody confront Rhaenyra about the children? Why is everybody, dancing around the fact that the kids are not Laenor's kids? Like, how is she the only one to see this? How is she the only one that speaks about this? And Sir Christian pretty much just says, listen, it's Rhaenyra, she's a cunt. She thinks that everybody should do as she says. And you can pretty much feel from Sir Christian that he hates the fuck out of Rhaenyra. Like, he doesn't just want to hurt her, I think he pretty much would want to kill her if he had the chance. And again, you can't blame him. He wanted to give Rhaenyra his heart, he wanted to marry her, and Rhaenyra just pretty much spat in his face and saw him as a whore, basically. So, I mean, he gave up everything for her, and she just ripped his heart out. So you can kind of see, and I like him like this. I like the fact his heart's been ripped out. I like the fact that he hates her, because this is Sir Christian. He is an absolute cunt. And again, another character that I'm glad is finally acting like the character from the books. But anyway, he calls Rhaenyra a cunt, and Alicent doesn't like that because she's kind of proper. You don't need to swear in front of her. So Sir Christian apologises to her, and so next scene, we see Aegon wanking out of a window. Don't know why he's doing it. He's wanking out of a window. But then Alicent comes in and talks to him, and in this scene you pretty much see she has the same conversation with Aegon as Otto had with her before he left. Now, Alicent asks Aegon, did you play a prank on your brother? He says yes, but he doesn't like his brother. But she has to remind him, he's still your brother and you still got to care about him. He's family and you have to respect that. And she gets annoyed at Aegon because he doesn't take this seriously. So she explains to him what situation he's in. Because Aegon doesn't think anything's going to happen to him. He just thinks he can just be this prince. He can do what the fuck he likes. But Alicent tells him, no, you can't. You are going to be the king one day. and you're always going to be a threat to Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra is a threat to all of us, and the only way we can stop her is if we unite as a family against her. And that's what she's trying to get through to him. Because again, he is a threat to Rhaenyra. He is still a male heir, which everybody wants, technically. All the lords would want a male heir. And Rhaenyra is always going to see that as a threat. And that's what Alicent is trying to get through to Aegon. To get him to love his family and to just understand the threat that he is in. And I think he got a little bit through to him through this scene. Next scene, we're in Pentos, where Damon and Lana are flying their dragons around, giving a show to the Lord of Pentos. And then the next scene is them around a dinner table, celebrating, or having a party or whatever. Or having a dinner party, that's it. And the Prince of Pentos gives an offer to Damon about taking over the island and becoming the protector of Pentos to help them fight against the triarchy that has managed to sort itself out and to reunite and are now becoming a threat to Pentos. And what the Lord wants is Damon and Lena to use their dragons on the triarchy's fleet to protect Pentos. Lena doesn't really want to do this because that would mean they'd have to stay there, and she wants to go home, but Damon doesn't. Damon wants to stay there and pretty much have fun and stay away from King's Landing, stay away from his brother, stay away from his family, because Damon is trying to get away from the Game of Thrones. He's already tried to play that game. He just wants to stay out of it. And so this prince has given him an offer that he actually wants to take. The next scene, you see Lena and Damon discuss the Lord's proposal. And Damon's like, why should we go back? He's offering us gold. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to worry about anything. This is a pretty easy job. But Lena doesn't want to live there for the rest of her life. Again, she wants to go home. She wants to have a child there. She wants to, see her family again. And again, Damon just doesn't want to do that. And I love this scene because it kind of shows that, yes, Damon is trying to grow. He is trying to get on with his life. He knows he's not going to be king anymore, but he acts like a better king than his brother does. He reads up on the histories of other kings. He knows his, history. He wants to fight for his people. He does all this stuff, but he knows he can't do any of that in King's Landing because when he's there, he fucks up and he screws himself. And again, he just wants to get away from the hassle. But his wife doesn't. His wife wants to go back and be a true Valerian. She wants to, reunite the houses and just be a good daughter to her father. And you can respect that from it. I mean, from her character, because her character is a very honourable woman, and I like that about her character. Next scene is Sir Christian training the boys in combat. You can see Aegon's pretty good, Aemon's alright, and the other two are okay. But he's trying to train them in sword combat. You can see he's training Alicent's kids more than Rhaenyra's children. And then Lord Harwin comes and pretty much tells Sir Christian, you should be training the boys equally. And Sir Christian kind of gets a bit annoyed about this because this is his job. He's training the kids his way. But again, he is right. You are concentrating more on Alicent kids than you are Rhaenyra's, and you shouldn't do that. So Sir Christian does start training both the boys, by making them fight each other. So he grabs Prince Jacaerys and Aemon to fight each other. Not Aemon, Aegon to fight each other. And in this scene you can see Jacaerys doesn't really know what he's doing, and Aegon's pretty much kicked the shit out of him. And you can see Harwin isn't happy isn't happy at the way Sir Christian is training the kids. He thinks he's training them without honour and all that stuff, and he pretty much gets a bit annoyed. He tries to tell Sir Christian, you're training them wrong, you train them to fight like dirty, basically. And Sir Christian then pretty much says, why do you care so much? You're caring a bit too much for them? Is you acting like somebody, like they're a part of your family? Are they your cousins? Are they your friends? Or are they your sons? And as soon as he says that, they then have a massive fight with each other, and Harwin is pretty pissed off at Sir Christian because he knows what he's doing. He's trying to pretty much out his kids as his, and that's pretty dangerous because overlooking the whole scene is Lord Laenor Strong and King Viserys, and this just looks bad, and it pretty much is bad. So the next scene, one of the servants tells Rhaenyra what happened in the courtyard between Sir Christian and Harwin. So Rhaenys goes through her secret door and then happens to hear a conversation between Larwyn and Harwin Strong. Now, Lionel is trying to tell his son he's made a massive mistake by hitting one of the king's guard, and that he's become too dangerous to him in his position. He's also put their family in massive danger because, again, if the people find out about Rhaenyra's children being Harwin's children, then she'll get killed, they'll get killed, and the Strong's entire family will get killed. And that's why he's so pissed off at his son for putting him and his family in this position. So he's going to send Harwin away to the Dreadfort so he can be a lord there and away from Rhaenyra, and hopefully calm the situation down between Sir Christian and Harwin, and to maybe get rid of the rumours of the parentage. Next scene is Rhaenyra having a conversation with Laenor. Laenor wants to go back to the Stepstones because the Triarchy are trying to take that place back, and Rhaenyra has to tell him, you can't go because if you leave me in a weaker position. A father would not just abandon his children like this, especially with all the rumours going around. But Laenor pretty much tells her, I've done my duty, I've sticked by you for 10 years, I've accepted all the gossip, and I've stayed true to you. And again, he just wants to be a knight, he wants to go back to glory and to sail the seas. But Rhaenyra gives him an order and tells him he can't go, and he has to stay loyal to her for now. The next scene, we then get to scene between Lena and Damon. Lena tells Damon about the birth of Rhaenyra's new child. Damon makes a joke about it, and in this scene you pretty much see Lena accepts the fact that she is not Damon's first choice to be his wife, and she's accepted that, and she wishes that Damon would just be at peace and just let them go home. And Damon's kind of sad about this because he does love Lena. But again, he does love somebody else. We all know who that is. It's Rhaenys. So, next scene is the small council, where you see you see Alicent is in control of the small council, as the king's a bit too sick to take full control of it. They're discussing a fight between two houses, and then the Triarchy get brought up again about the Stepstones, where Alicent says we don't really need to deal with them, they're not a problem at the moment, and Rhaenys says that they should have taken full control of the Stepstones and put troops there, ships there, or fortifications there. But Alicent has to remind her it costs money to do all that, and they should be focused more on the internal matters of the kingdom, not some fanciful force somewhere else that's not a problem yet. But in this scene, you pretty much see that Rhaenyra is getting desperate because she makes an offer to Alicent about marrying their 2 children, Alicent's daughter to one of Rhaenyra's sons. And in this scene, you pretty much see Alicent is in full control, because in the books, that went the other way around. It was Alicent offering her daughter to Rhaenyra, and Rhaenyra pretty much saying no to it. But in this scene, but in the show, you're seeing Alicent is the one in full control. Alicent is the threat, and Rhaenyra knows that, but she's trying to put a bridge between them. And it is unfortunate, because in this scene you also see King Viserys. He wants to do that as well. He wants to reunite the families. And again, he doesn't want any bad blood between anybody. He wants everybody to be happy. And you kind of got to respect him for that as well. Again, this guy is a great king in peacetime. It's just, he's a bit too focused on peace, and he is letting Rhaenyra get away with too much stuff. And that's what Alicent keeps trying to tell him. But the council meeting is stopped because Rhaenyra starts to, how do I say this? Leak? She's leaking from a certain area, which is kind of embarrassing for her. So Alicent ends the small council meeting so that Rhaenyra can get sorted out, and that King Viserys can get, well, somewhere more comfortable because he is old. So Alicent takes the king back to his chambers, sits him in his chair, and then we get Lord Lyonel Strong coming in to pretty much resign as Hand of the King, because he doesn't think he could do his duties anymore because of stuff that's happening around the kingdom, and because of certain rumours going around about his son. But he can't say that to the king because, again, the king is trying to ignore the rumours that he knows is fact. Everybody knows the children are not Laenor's kids. Everybody knows that, but everybody's just choosing to ignore it. So the king is pretty much ignoring it himself. He doesn't want to hear about it. So when Lord Lyonel can't explain why he wants to resign, the king just tells him, you're not resigning, you're staying. So then Lord Lyonel tells the king that he's going to take his son back to the Dreadfort so that he can be a lord there. The king accepts it and lets him go with his son to make sure that he can make sure his son knows what to do, and to get him ready to be a lord of the Dreadfort. Next scene, Alicent has dinner with Lyonel Strong, Clubfoot, and they discuss about the situation between the king and the Hand wanting to quit, and the Rhaenyra situation, and Larry Strong. He's the Master of Whisperers now, and he pretty much wants to reassure Alicent that he's on her side. And Alicent goes to him for advice and information. So it's pretty much he's on her team, but that's not going to be a forever thing, because Clubfoot, he is definitely a bastard. He's not a loyal person. He'll do what he has to get more power. So he is like a little finger in this world. So in the dinner, they discuss about the Hand and how Alicent wants her father back and wants him to be back as the king. But the problem is the king will not accept the Hand's resignation, and she doesn't know what to do, because she needs more allies in court just in case Rhaenyra does anything, in particular. And maybe one day Alicent would have enough power to get rid of Rhaenyra permanently. But she needs more allies for that to happen. The next scene, we see Larry Strong go down to the cells to get prisoners, to hire them for a job. He offers them the job but tells them they need to give something to him so he can assure that they are loyal to him. And these are prisoners that are, going to get killed in the morning, so he's given them a lifeline. So the men accept, and what he wants in return is their loyalty and their tongues. So he cuts their tongues out to make sure that they don't speak to anybody else, and he sends them off on a mission to help Alicent. We go to the next scene. The next scene is Lena trying to give birth to her child, but the Maester tells Damon that the child is stuck. So it's pretty much a basic copy of the first episode with King Viserys and his wife, and Damon is dealing with the same situation now. So the Maester tells Damon the situation, says that he can cut the baby out, but Damon is not sure what to do. He doesn't want to kill his wife, and he doesn't want to see his child die, so he doesn't know what to do, so he walks off to think about it. And then what happens is Lena somehow, and this is a problem out of the episode, somehow manages to walk out of the bedroom she's in trying to give birth, and walks all the way to her dragon, Vhagar, who's a very important dragon in this show. But she walks all the way over to Vhagar, and they don't really explain how she can do that, how nobody stopped her, how Daemon is really behind her. They don't really explain. I kind of wish they did. But she tells her dragon to burn her. She tells the dragon Dracarys, and I love this scene because it shows the dragon doesn't want to do it. He hesitates, but you can see Laenor is in pain and she wants to stop the pain any way she can. So she tells the dragon again, Dracarys, and so the dragon burns her and she dies, unfortunately. And you can see that Daemon is pretty sad about this, but does respect the fact that she died as a dragon rider. And you can respect that. The next scene is us in the Dreadfort, where Sir Lionel and Marwyn Strong go to the Dreadfort. When they get there, when they head to bed, the castle is then set alight by Lance Strong's men, the men from the prison. They set fire to the castle, killing both Strongs and pretty much getting rid of Alicent's problem with the Hand of the King, and making sure that now she can give the Hand of the King to her father. And when Lars Strong tells Alicent what he did for her by killing his father and brother, Alicent is shocked to hear this. She never meant for this to happen, but Lance Strong doesn't really care. He's loyal to Alicent this time, and respects reward for his loyalty to her. And it kind of shows in this moment that this guy is definitely a threat to Alicent, but he's also a massive advantage for her, because he is smart and he's willing to do anything for her. And then the episode ends. Again, this is a great episode. I love the new characters. This show is just getting better and better, and it's a 7 out of 10 from me. And yeah, great fucking television. And that's the end of my review. If you like this review, give it a like. If you dislike this review, give it a dislike. And if you like my content, do think about subscribing. Entertainment Soldier. Bye.